Greetings and welcome. I do believe we are live and broadcasting. As you receive this, please type a 19 into the chat or shoot some emojis, share some love. Let me know at least that you can see me and hear me. I am super excited to have the opportunity to connect with you. An official welcome to SEM Mondays. This is absolutely the place to be every Monday. I think it's a really fantastic way to get your week off to a great start. Taking time to focus on your health, your well-being, focus on your healing journey. I created SEM Mondays as a way to be able to continue to support you on your journey with Source Energy Medicine. Initially, I thought it was going to be primarily for folks who are brand new to Source Energy Medicine or just exploring the quick start guide. And I quickly realized that, there are a lot of folks who show up here week after week, and some of our non-material Source Energy Medicine practitioners, and the non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine, just in case you don't know, is our energy healing modality. And, when SEM Mondays started, it was an open Q&A just so that we have a way of being able to connect every week so I can answer your questions live and in real time. And in response to this pandemic, I've extended the format and include an open group energy healing session as a way to continue to be able to support you on your journey with Source Energy Medicine. And I got to tell you, some of the feedback from last week's non-material Source Energy Medicine session, the group session, was so inspiring for me, so touching. A couple of people characterized, these are their words, not my words, they described it as quite miraculous in terms of what their experience was. So, each time we meet on Monday and we experience a group energy healing session, they're each different, and yet they each have unlimited potential and possibility, but each one is a little bit different. And I saw a couple of comments, I think it was Victoria who shared that not only does she watch a replay a couple of times a day to support her, but she'll often experience the same session 2 or 3 times in a row, so that it's I'm reading into it. My logic is just to have a longer experience in that energy, right? We create a new morphic field every time we do this energy, and if you don't know about the non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine, when we're done here, just type into the search bar on YouTube non-material, N-O-N, material aspect of Source Energy Medicine. And it's called that because there's no material substance, right? There's no water, no bottles, no charging labels. It is more flexible, it's faster, and from your end, it's easier, right? Because you just simply have to sit back comfortably and relax and allow. Certainly, making and taking Source Energy Medicines using our charging labels is not a whole lot of work. And yet, to receive a non-material Source Energy Medicine session for me, give me the energy work any day. And I say that in part because of my experience with it, in part because it does have greater flexibility, greater potential and possibility than even the charging labels. So thank you for the emojis. Thank you for the kind words. Awesome to have such a great group of people be able to join us live. And I think it's important for you to know that even if you're watching this in replay, you can comment, you can leave questions, you can share your experiences in the comments below. And if you do leave questions, I do my best to answer as many questions as possible. And it's interesting to me, we have folks who find Source Energy Medicine every day. So if you're new to Source Energy Medicine, just type that in the chat. I would love to know that you're new and this is your first SEM Mondays. And just in case we have not met yet, my name is Stephen Pollitt, and I created Source Energy Medicine what seems like way back in 2005. I've been sharing it since 2005. Was the accumulation, what is that word I'm looking for, of several years worth of research that culminated into the birth of source energy medicine, or what we now call source energy medicine. And interestingly enough, I was talking about this within our source energy medicine coach training. October 15th, 2004 was a big day. That is what I would characterize, even though there were years of research that built to the birth, I consider October 15th, 2004 as the birthday of source energy medicine. If you read my book, Heal Thyself, or you've taken any of our online workshops, you understand how we make a charging label, right? How we make a formula for source energy medicine. Well, all of that proprietary information, all of that technology, all of the structure for source energy medicine came through me on October 15th, 2004. So we just celebrated a 16-year birth, 16-year life, really. And it was just so filled with joy for me. And being able to share some of that story inside our coach training, which I hadn't told many times before, certainly not at that level of depth and vulnerability. It was freeing for me on one hand, and it was awesome, to share that with, this is our first class of folks who want to become certified source energy medicine coaches. And that actually has been in the works. Having a certification program has been in the works for years. And now, thanks to all of this technology, thanks to being able to do all of this online, having all of our online workshops, all of our workshops available online, we were able to, it became apparent that now it's the perfect time to be able to have a certified source energy medicine coach training. So if you're new to source energy medicine, good news, you can soon work with a certified source energy medicine coach. And if that's the least bit intriguing to you, what that would look like, what's involved, it's really pretty simple. There's 2 fundamental source energy medicine online workshops that are prerequisite, and there is a special master class that I produced after this pandemic started that's all about. It was originally designed specifically to address everyone's concern about what to do with COVID-19, both proactively or prophylactically, as well as what you should do if signs or symptoms would arise. And it extends so far beyond COVID-19. It covers everything that would be characterized as an acute condition. And acute conditions are sudden and rapid, described as having sudden and rapid onsets, like colds or flus or vomiting, diarrhea, some migraine headaches, some inflammatory responses, things like that, right? Things that are acute versus chronic. Chronic are things that typically are experienced over a greater length of time. So, what we have here today, what today's going to look like if you are indeed new to SEM Mondays, we'll do a bit of Q&A. If you have a question and you're here with me live, please go ahead and type that into the chat. And I have a couple of things that I want to talk about, questions that have come in from the various ways that questions make their way to me, which is, probably a good point to mention this. If you have a question and you're not able to join us live, you can email me questions. You could leave questions inside the Source Energy Medicine Quick Start Guide, which I realize there are folks watching this who may not know about the Quick Start Guide. It is a free course in Source Energy Medicine and includes everything that's essential to your journey with Source Energy Medicine. The complete charging label, which enables you to make every source energy medicine in your own home, is in there, and a bunch of videos. I think there are 16 in all, 16 different modules. Most have videos that explain the content. There's ways to download the handouts, print them if you like, or save them electronically, and it's quite in depth. So I used to call it a mini course in source energy medicine, and it really is a master class. It's a master class in the basics, and then beyond that is the fundamentals online workshop. So we'll do the Q&A part first, get that out of the way, and then we'll segue into the energy healing section, and we'll talk a little bit more about what that looks like as we get closer. So I will just check my notes here, make sure I covered all of the logistics and things that I wanted to cover. I think we are good. Pardon me 1 second. So, this question came in from Kushbu. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. It was really, really good. This is a common question. And it has to do with, I'm not going to read her exact question, but she's asking about what source energy medicine charging label would be best for breaking a behavior pattern that tends to instigate a spiral of things over and over again, right? So it's a pattern that is long-standing, something triggered. These are my words, my interpretation of the question. Something happens, triggers behavior, and that behavior is something that has been going on long term. Now, there are 3 videos that if both for Kushbu and for anyone who's interested in understanding this, because we learn a lot of these behavior patterns when we're really, really very, very young, and they're all rooted in the subconscious mind. Now, the subconscious mind is either going to be my friend or my enemy, my greatest asset, or what will undermine my efforts, sidetrack, or lead to procrastination. And there's 3 videos that I think would be super helpful for everyone to watch. The first one is all about the subconscious mind, and why transforming the subconscious mind is so vitally important, right? If you think about it, at least according to a lot of research, the subconscious mind is the most important, and it's the most powerful part of our mind. So there's a video on our YouTube channel that's all about the subconscious mind, and the title of it is Your Mind, Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde. And you could just type that into the search bar on YouTube or search bar on Google, and in that talk about like how it is that same part, right? That same part of our mind can either be Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde, right? Greatest asset or worst possible case scenario of a villain, really. There's another one titled Learn Why It's Vitally Important to Transform the Subconscious Mind, the Subconscious, the Unconscious, and the Conscious Mind. So I often talk about in an ideal world, healing should take place in all of those 3 areas, right? Conscious, unconscious, and subconscious. In that video, I explain what each of those aspects are and why it's so vitally important. And then the last one is on calibrated energy levels, because if you understand calibrated energy levels, you'll understand dis-ease and wellness. You'll understand how the subconscious mind can be both villainous, just literally like the source of all evil, at least that I've ever experienced in my life. And it's in my mind, right? There is no source of evil that's outside of my mind. It's all in my mind. And it's often rooted, it's always rooted actually in the subconscious mind. Once the subconscious mind is transformed, then there could be roots in the conscious and unconscious, and that's why it's vitally important to heal in each of those areas, right? So back to Kushbu's question. It's not a label per se, but simply following the sample protocol that's included in the Source Energy Medicine Quick Start Guide is the best thing, because part of that work is transforming the subconscious mind, and unless I transform the subconscious mind, I will never be able to break patterns of behavior, right? I could get better at doing it less frequently or for shorter periods of time, but unless I'm able to get to the subconscious root, I'm not able to completely stop that behavior pattern and replace it with something that would serve me better, right? So vitally important. And yet there are other things as well, right? It's not as simple an issue as, it's not like a virus causing a particular challenge, and you take the transformation virus source energy medicine or transformation fusion number 3, which would be a much better charging label. And the virus is transformed, signs or symptoms go away, and it appears that it was that one charging label. And in reality, there's more to the story than that, right? There's transforming the calibration of the physical aspect of our being in that example. So, this is absolutely one issue where a lot of behavior patterns that I would characterize as destructive behaviors, right? Behaviors that either lead to some level of injury, whether it's a minor injury or a major injury to myself and to others. Those types of behavior patterns we typically pick up when we're very young. And if we had a traumatic childhood, a traumatic life in general, we're going to have behavior patterns that are rooted in those traumas. So once the subconscious mind is transformed, then from my perspective, it would be really, really, really wise to work with a professional facilitator. Professional coach sometimes would be appropriate for things like that, or someone who, like voice dialogue practitioner would be really, really good. Some forms of therapy or some therapists might be really helpful at that, right? So some way of being able to look back at, like, where did I learn that? Why did I learn it? What was right? In some way, that pattern served me at one point in my life, but likely I outgrew that secondary benefit, if you will, right? And now it no longer serves me. And when things do happen, typically there is some sort of an upset that is often described as a trigger, and that trigger just launches this conditioned, seemingly automatic response and behavior that follows. So this is definitely one of those things where it's not a charging label, but simply following the sample protocol. And then once the subconscious mind is transformed, then working on the conscious and unconscious, and that's where a good trained facilitator, some coaches might be their area of expertise. If there was some significant trauma, then you definitely want to be working with a qualified professional in those areas, somebody who has a lot of experience working with those challenges. The non-material aspect of source energy medicine, there are things that we're able to do that help to transform things in ways that we can't get to with therapy or with working with a coach or working with a voice dialogue facilitator, and primarily work on the subconscious mind. But also, if there is trauma involved, that trauma is stored in ways, so many ways that we know about, and countless ways that I'm highly confident that we have yet to even begin to explore, let alone understand. So, this is one of those things that's very, very, very complex, but to be able to transform the memory of those events from every place that memory is held. And one of the, I think, amazing blessings within the non-material aspect of source energy medicine is we don't have to know where all of them are stored. They're certainly stored in our cells, and our cells, of course, make up our body, right? They make up our organs and functions and systems, and that's where a lot of dis-ease seems to start. It's not starting there, and it's not the root of it, but it is certainly an associated component of it, right? So by being able to transform on every single level, especially, long-term memory, things like that, cellular memory for sure, to be able to have our organs and functions and systems not carrying around those traumas, right, those traumatic events, is a massive, massive, massive blessing. And I think really a key component to long-term positive success. So Thank you, Kushbu, for such a great question. And, as you can see, it's a big topic, and this is certainly the kind of conversations that we have inside the Fundamental Source Energy Medicine online workshops, and even at greater levels of depth and detail in our non-material source energy medicine workshop. And it's definitely the type of conversation that we're having inside the source energy medicine coach training, because healing for me holistically, right, big picture wise, includes healing my past, right, dealing with, coming to terms with childhood wounds, finding forgiveness for myself and for others, and all of that is what I would characterize as doing work in the conscious and unconscious realms. And source energy medicine, to a very large degree, especially with charging labels. With charging labels, I would say it's probably 95% in the subconscious realm and 5% in the conscious and unconscious. The non-material, we can access the unconscious and conscious to a much, 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 much greater degree, and yet it's still up to each of us to do, if we choose to, right, to become empowered to do a forgiveness practice or a forgiveness process, right, to work with a trained facilitator or a coach or a therapist and get professional support in doing some of that other work. So I hope that makes sense. And I trust that this conversation was helpful to many, many, many more people than Kushbu and the man she's married with. So, from my perspective, which is based on my history, not only within source energy medicine, but I, sat in men's group for a lot of years. And, honestly, before I did pretty intense and consistent, prolonged work in men's group, I didn't know the level of trauma that most humans are walking around with. And it's not just men, of course. But some of it, I was shocked that it happened to men, and usually it's young men when they were children. But the level of trauma that so many humans, I would venture to say, a large majority of humans have endured, is unsettling on one hand and true tragedy. And on the other hand, it really speaks volumes to our persistence and perseverance and our ability to, in spite of significant trauma, mental, physical, emotional, we do have a way of being able to survive. And with the proper support, the proper healing, we can take that and actually thrive, have that turn into that which would be fodder for thriving. Ogmandino says that, our characters are forged in the furnace of adversity. And the more work that I did within men's groups, and then of course helping people on their individual healing journey for as long as I have, I've never worked with a client, I don't think, who hasn't experienced some level of what I would characterize as significant trauma usually in their childhood. If it wasn't in childhood, it was in when they were teenagers or young adults. But I think it's pretty safe to say that if you have a heartbeat, and you've been around the sun a few times, you've experienced some forms of mental, physical, emotional trauma. Spiritual trauma is certainly not to be left out of this conversation. And for most people, it's trauma in multiple layers and not just one isolated incident. So, blessings to each of you for your strength and your courage and your perseverance, and for doing whatever you had to do to figure out how to get where you are today. And just know that once we're able to transform the subconscious mind, once we're able to transform the memory of all of that from every place that we can store memory, some of which leading experts are saying are not even in our physical body. It's what is being characterized as in a cloud. And that's true for long-term memory as well, not just traumatic types of memory. So it's for me fascinating to think about, and truly an honor and a blessing to be able to help you in every way that I can on your journey of being able to. I think that it's true for everyone to be. I don't know that any of us can ever get to a point where we can't be triggered, right? And that's what I'm always looking for. What are still my trigger points left over? And there certainly are people who seem to have installed my trigger points because they know exactly where they are and they know exactly how to press those buttons. And that excites me, right? Because then that shows that there is healing yet to be done, right? Healing yet to be explored. For me, it would be on the conscious or unconscious level because my subconscious mind has long ago been transformed. So I'm always looking for, at first it's horrible. It's like getting, punched in the gut, like a unexpected punch in the gut. Not that I think anyone ever expects to get punched in the gut, but like a, total surprise, which, for me, every time that's ever happened, it's just this uncontrollable drop to the knees, to my knees, and just like praying to God, right? And not knowing if I'll ever be able to breathe again, which is it's a crazy thing to experience, and yet that kind of humbling, that kind of being brought to my knees, being brought to your knees, is often, I think, what it takes to wake up, right? To wake up, to realize, like, and back to the trigger. Once I start to catch my breath, or be able to catch my breath, breathe again, I'm doing my happy dance, right? I'm celebrating. I am so excited that I just got triggered, right? That I just, like a blind spot was just revealed to me. So even though I haven't worked on any challenges that are physical since 2005, I'm always doing work on something, and it's always, for me, these blind spots that I'm looking for, right? How can I be less reactive, and if I do react, just stop it instantly. And if any damage occurs in those often seconds or moments, then I just clean it up as best as I can, right? I make amends as best I can. I'm committed to not doing those things anymore, to not behaving in ways, no longer behaving in ways that are self-destructive or cause harm to others. So I'm going to segue here into the group energy healing aspect or segment of our time together today. And I see some folks who are here with us live, and I know that there are a few of you who sent in healing requests, and I just want you to know that I saw your healing requests. And for me, it's important to say that, and yet there are others who have not submitted a healing request, and it's not essential that I know what your healing request is. And the reason why I say that is because you are always healing yourself, and it is, from my perspective, it is the divinity in you, right? It is that source energy in you that is always healing yourself. So healing is between you and that divine aspect of you, and I certainly can support you, and I can help, and I can put the right technology together, whether it's a charging label or it's energy work, to help to facilitate that process for you. But I don't have to have conscious awareness for you to receive the blessing that you're seeking, for you to receive the transformation, the balance, the restoration that you are seeking and wanting. And for some people, consciously, right, they want to know that I know what their challenge is, what their goal is, and what they would like to experience, which I love, and I honor that, and that's why I openly invite healing requests. If you do type a healing request into the chat on YouTube, just read the disclaimer. It's a public forum. Please be sensitive to what you're posting, and I love that we have such a polite, kind, caring, respectful community. And I appreciate that being a very high level of relating to each other, on our channel, and I hope that spills over into the rest of the world, because I don't see a lot of that these days. And if the world is in need of anything these days, it's compassion and tolerance and acceptance and unconditional love. So on your end, I invite you to get as comfortable as possible. The more comfortable you can get, and if it's safe and appropriate and feels right for you to lie down. A lot of people like to lie down and experience this session, but if it's not safe, it's not comfortable, if it's not appropriate, please don't do those things, right? And some folks like to, I believe closing your eyes helps to block out distractions, which tends to increase the level of receptivity. I'm always looking for higher levels of receptivity, right? Think about it. It's like opening a faucet more. It allows more water to flow. In this case, it allows more healing energy to flow in through you and out through you. So again, if it's not safe for you to close your eyes wherever you are, or you're not comfortable closing your eyes, then please don't. And if you're driving, or if you're, sitting in an office and it's hard for you to fully be able to relax and experience this session, you can experience it now and then just come back to it later when you have time and a more conducive environment, right, to really honor your healing, process. So I think it's important to point out that whether you're watching this live or in replay, there is the same potential and possibility, right? So I always say there's no difference in terms of potential and possibility, and yet there are things that can get in the way, like your belief that you have to be live, or your belief that it can't be possible to have energy healing be effective on YouTube or long distance, So those sorts of things will actually get in the way of what you experience. There's one of my all-time favorite videos. It's in the Quick Start Guide. It's on our YouTube channel. It's all about expectations. I think that the title is What Can I Expect to Experience with Source Energy Medicine? But it essentially is answering the question, will source energy medicine work for me? And in that video, I talk about all of these different variables that come into play that determine what I experience in a healing session, if you will, right? Or what I would experience when I make and take source energy medicine charging labels. So I think it's vitally, vitally important to understand how it is that I influence. I am the greatest influence on what I experience or don't experience, right? In terms of results or lack thereof. So this work is completely safe. It's super fast. It'll probably be 5 or 7 minutes. I turn my camera off, so what I'm doing is not distracting to you. I'll put on some chanting music in the background. And I put up a title slide just so that both of those, the title slide and the chanting, is just so that you know that we're still broadcasting. The chanting has nothing to do with the energy work. It's simply a chant that I absolutely love. It's Eternal Om. Yeah, so I always invite you to choose one goal or one challenge. And the reason why I have that as kind of my standard is so that you can more easily see what your progress is, right? In terms of something tangible, measurable, something that you'd be able to tell somebody and they'd be able to see evidence of it, right? Something that is concrete and tangible and measurable. And there are a lot of results that, like, you can't do that too, right? There's a lot of like, when I reached my ideal energy level, it's like, I couldn't take a picture of it. I couldn't print it out. It was just it was a feeling, it was a knowing. And then, of course, everything that I started to experience in my life reflected that. But it's a lot different than having a rash, no longer having a rash, having a pain, no longer having a pain, things like that, right? Having a challenge that has tangible physical signs or symptoms, or mental, emotional, what would be characterized as mental or emotional, and they're present, they're no longer present, right? So I invite you to get as comfortable as possible and simply trust the process. Trust the divine orchestration that led you to Source Energy Medicine, the divine orchestration that led you to SEM Mondays, which I don't take lightly. This to me is like one of the coolest things that I experience as a human, right? It is how it is that the source of all creation put us on each other's path to play, right? To collaborate, to share, to support each other, to help each other, to love each other. And that, I think, is one of the most miraculous things that I experience, at least on a moment-to-moment, day-to-day basis in life. So go ahead and get nice and comfortable. And continue to breathe comfortably and at a level of depth and pace that is most appropriate for you. And as much as possible, just simply allow, accept, and receive. And as you do those things, think of what it is that you would like to receive, what it is that you would like to experience. And as much as possible, see it from the end, if you will. See it as being fully realized, fully manifested, fully actualized in every way that it possibly can be. Please know that because it is the source of all creation that is in you, that is beating your heart, and is always responsible for healing, there is no such thing as something that is difficult or big or monumental. It's all the same, and it's all energy. And it's simply a matter of transforming slow energy to fast energy, that which doesn't serve us into that which does serve us, that which doesn't love and support us into that which does love and support us. And as much as possible, see yourself the way I believe the source of all creation sees you, which is as perfect, eternal, first and foremost, a spiritual being. One with infinite intelligence, infinite possibility, infinite potential. One that is opening like a beautiful lotus on a sunny, warm morning. One that is stepping into the greatness that you were created to be. One that is completely transformed, balanced, and restored. One that is incapable of judgment, completely free of sin, therefore completely free of guilt, completely released from the burden that you may have been carrying around. Completely restored, completely re-energized, completely safe and protected. Continue to breathe comfortably. Continue to allow. Continue to receive. I invite you to take a nice deep breath. Slowly and gently wiggle your fingers and toes. And if your eyes are closed, please go ahead and slowly blink them open. And come on back to this time space reality here and now on YouTube to SEM Mondays. And as you come on back, I would love to see a word or two or three, whether you're watching this live or in replay, how this was for you. Right before I came back, I just checked for questions. And thank you, Fifth Wheel Red, for sharing great success with Marina's back after last SEM Mondays energy healing. And those who were with us here live last week or watched the replay from last week, Marina put in a healing request. She was having pretty intense back spasms, so it was just so awesome to have that feedback, right? They just so everyone knows, they were in touch with me to let me know what they experienced, and it was quite inspiring. So very cool. Thank you all for the kind words and for all of the love that's being shared in the chat. I so appreciate the kind words. And namaskar, Sarabjit. Namaste, Deb. And gosh, so much wonderful, so much wonderfulness in the chat. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but thank you. It is a little bit overwhelming at times, especially, offering a session like this, right, and just being curious about what your experience is like, and then to get the feedback from Marina, just so exciting. So, puts me over the top with joy. I hope you folks saw, I believe it was last Friday, released a video on our YouTube channel that I think the title was How to Learn How to Crush Stress. And I don't think it's news to anyone, but we have been living with prolonged stress and at levels that I think are unprecedented. So figuring out ways to not just manage stress, but, I know crushing stress sounds violent and, just trying to get your attention, but I think you'll find it interesting, and that has nothing to do with source energy medicine, or little to do with source energy medicine. And the reason why is we have fantastic source energy medicine for transforming stress, for transforming trauma. But I don't think it's physically possible for most of us to drink enough of those source energy medicines. Like, we literally have to drink gallons and gallons, which would be way too much water for our bodies to handle, to be able to transform the levels of stress that we're experiencing. So I share a life hack, if you will, a fun, safe, free, well, I don't know about safe, right? It depends, I guess, how to what level you take the life hack, right? It could be, I guess, potentially maybe not so safe, but fun for sure, and it's free. And you don't need anything special. You just need some willingness to try it, and a little bit of space. So I hope you do take it on. And I didn't talk about it in that video. I was trying to keep it as short and condensed, concise as possible. But there's a lot of really strong scientific evidence that leads to what I offer in that video is very helpful. It's totally credible, and there are a lot of people who are, a lot of people who I admire, who are suggesting same if not similar life hacks. So I hope you will check out that video, and more than checking out that video, I hope you try it on at least once or twice or three times. My challenge in the video is to try it for a day, and I guess it depends on how full on you take it, but at least try what I suggest in there at least twice or three times. And if you think it's not helpful, I want to know, because I am usually at a very high level of energy, physical energy, and most of that is because of my ideal energy level has been pretty, in terms of calibrated energy, has been high for a long time, right? It's been at my ideal energy level for a long, long time, and that absolutely affects physical energy level, and or a lot of people, because of this stress, are experiencing pretty intense fatigue, right? Having difficulty sleeping, which exacerbates the fatigue, right? Difficulty thinking clearly, and being able to accomplish things in a timely manner. So the stress definitely adds to increased body weight, and then difficulty losing that weight, and just like a brain fog, and what I would characterize as an overall funk. So try the life hack that's in that video, and I believe the title is Learn How to Crush Stress. So check that out. Before you go, if any of this inspired you to think of someone, that kind of intuitive impression, I always take as an urgent assignment, right? So if any of this you thought of someone who you think might benefit from the conversation or from Source Energy Medicine, YouTube makes it so easy for you to be able to share a video. Just click on that share link, and you'll see all the various ways that you can share it. Certainly, subscribing to our channel is one of the easiest ways that I can continue to help you, continue to support you. And if you click on that notification icon, which is this cool little bell, if you click on that, then YouTube will notify you anytime I upload a video, like the Crush Stress video last week, or when I'm live on YouTube, which, God willing, I'll be back here at a regular time next Monday for another installment of SEM Mondays. So between now and then, I would strongly encourage you, based on the feedback that I've heard from countless people, check out one of the replays, fast forward to the group energy healing session, and experience at least one, or it doesn't have to be a different one, but once or twice a day. Some folks are doing it 3 times a day. Whatever you think is most helpful, right? There's no downside. There's no way you could possibly have too much. You can't have too much energy healing, like you can't have too much love. So as always, I wish you continued blessings on your journey with Source Energy Medicine. Bye for now.